What if I told you the next global empire is not America, not China, not Europe, but a region the world barely talks about? While the West is obsessed with superpower rivalries, a silent transformation is reshaping the future of humanity. Hidden between oceans and trade routes, Southeast Asia is rising, not with loud declarations, but with strategy, speed, and unstoppable momentum. This region controls the arteries of global trade. It sits at the crossroads of East and West. It fuels the world's factories, ships, and digital economies. Yet for decades, it was dismissed as developing, secondary, irrelevant. That was the West's greatest mistake. Today, global powers are racing behind closed doors, signing secret deals, building ports, investing billions, and competing for influence in Southeast Asia, not because they want to, but because they must. This is not a story about the future. This is the future happening right now. In this video, you will uncover how Southeast Asia became the silent empire of the 21st century and why the world is waking up too late. Stay with me because what you're about to see changes how you view power forever. Point 1. The trade arteries that control the world. More than 60% of the world's maritime trade passes through Southeast Asia. Let that sink in. Every day, thousands of ships carrying oil, food, electronics, weapons, and raw materials move through narrow waterways like the Strait of Malacca, the South China Sea, and the Singapore Strait. These are not just sea lanes, they are the arteries of the global economy. If they stop, the world stops. China's factories go silent. Europe's shelves go empty. America's supply chains collapse. Yet for decades, these routes were treated as background geography, not as strategic weapons. That illusion is gone. Today, every superpower understands one brutal truth. Whoever influences Southeast Asia controls the flow of the world. That is why China is building ports under its Belt and Road Initiative. That is why the U.S. Navy patrols these waters relentlessly. That is why Japan, India, and Europe are investing billions into Southeast Asian infrastructure. This region is no longer between powers, it is the power. Unlike traditional empires built on conquest, Southeast Asia's strength comes from position. It doesn't need to invade anyone. It doesn't need to threaten. The world comes to it because the world has no other choice. Every smartphone you use, every car you drive, every product you touch, it all passes through this silent empire. And here's the most dangerous part for the West. Southeast Asia is learning to leverage this position. Ports are becoming bargaining chips. Shipping lanes are becoming diplomatic tools. Trade access is becoming political influence. Power no longer looks like tanks and missiles. Power looks like control over movement, and Southeast Asia sits at the center of it all. The West once believed global dominance meant military might, but the 21st century belongs to those who control the flow of the world, and Southeast Asia already does. Point 2. The manufacturing machine replacing the West. For more than a century, the West dominated global production. Factories in Europe, then America, then China became the engines of the world. But now, something historic is happening. The world's manufacturing heart is quietly shifting away from the West and even away from China into Southeast Asia. Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia are becoming the new industrial giants. Global brands are moving their factories. Tech companies are building chip plants. Automakers are setting up electric vehicle hubs. Fashion, electronics, pharmaceuticals, entire industries are relocating. Why? Because Southeast Asia offers what no other region can combine: Massive young workforce, lower production costs, strategic location, political flexibility, and growing technological skill. This isn't outsourcing, this is replacement. Western economies built their power on industry. Now that industry is being reborn in a region the West once labeled developing. Every factory that leaves the West weakens its economic gravity. Every plant built in Southeast Asia strengthens a new center of power. But the real shift is psychological. When production moves, influence follows. Supply chains become dependencies. Jobs become leverage. Governments start listening. Southeast Asia is no longer just assembling products. It is becoming the backbone of the global economy. And here's the strategic twist. Unlike China, this region is not one single power. It is a network of nations, flexible, adaptive, and diplomatically agile. That makes it impossible to isolate, impossible to sanction as a bloc, impossible to control with pressure. The West once shaped the world by building it. Now the world is being rebuilt elsewhere, and every new factory in Southeast Asia is a silent declaration. The era of Western economic centrality is ending. A new industrial empire is rising, quietly, efficiently, unstoppable. Point 3. The digital leap that skipped the West. While the West was busy upgrading old systems, Southeast Asia did something revolutionary. It skipped them. Instead of slowly evolving from desktops to smartphones, from banks to apps, from offices to clouds, this region leaped straight into the future. In countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Thailand, millions of people went from having no bank accounts to running full businesses on mobile phones. Entire populations entered the digital world in a single generation. E-commerce exploded. Digital payments replaced cash. Super apps became banks, shops, taxis, and offices in one screen. Startups turned into unicorns overnight. This isn't digital adoption, this is digital rebirth. Southeast Asia is now one of the fastest-growing internet markets on Earth. Its digital economy is projected to cross hundreds of billions of dollars, driven not by old corporations, but by young, hyper-connected populations. The West built the internet. Southeast Asia reimagined how it's used. Here, technology is not a luxury, it is survival. A street vendor uses QR codes. A farmer uses apps for pricing. A student builds startups from a phone. This creates something the West no longer has at scale, a generation that is digitally native, economically hungry, and system-breaking. And that generation is building platforms the world will soon depend on. Fintech, logistics tech, AI services, remote labor markets, cross-border commerce. The next global tech giants may not be born in Silicon Valley. They may rise from Jakarta, from Ho Chi Minh City, from Manila, from Bangkok. The West once ruled through innovation, but now innovation is being redefined by those who were never constrained by old systems. Southeast Asia didn't catch up, it jumped ahead, and the world is only beginning to realize what that means. Point 5. The youth demographic that will reshape power. Empires are not built by land or money. They are built by people. And Southeast Asia is sitting on one of the most powerful resources of the 21st century. A massive, young, ambitious generation. While the West is aging, while Europe struggles with shrinking populations, while Japan faces demographic collapse, Southeast Asia is getting younger. More than half of its population is under 35. That means more workers, more consumers, more creators, more soldiers of innovation, more energy to build the future. This generation is not trapped in old systems. They are mobile-first, global-minded, entrepreneurial, digitally fearless. They don't dream of government jobs. They dream of startups, global brands, borderless income, power without permission. History shows one pattern. When a region has youth plus technology plus opportunity, it doesn't stay quiet for long. Europe rose on young industrial workers. America rose on immigrant ambition. China rose on demographic scale. Now Southeast Asia is entering its own demographic moment. Every year, millions of new minds enter the workforce. Every year, new businesses are born. Every year, the region's internal market grows. This isn't just economic growth, this is momentum. The West built its dominance over centuries. Southeast Asia is compressing that rise into decades. And the world is not prepared for what happens when a billion connected minds, located at the center of global trade, armed with digital tools and free from old power structures, begin shaping reality. Empires don't announce themselves, they emerge. And this generation is the engine of the silent empire. The world watches superpowers clash over headlines, treaties, and territories. But the real shift? It's quiet, invisible, unstoppable, and it's happening in Southeast Asia. From trade routes that dictate the flow of goods, to factories replacing the West's industrial dominance, from digital economies leapfrogging traditional tech, to diplomatic mastery no superpower can easily counter, and a young, ambitious population ready to define the future. This region is not just participating in global power, it is reshaping it. The West may have underestimated Southeast Asia. It may have ignored its potential. It may have assumed dominance is permanent. But history doesn't favor the loudest, the oldest, or the biggest. History favors those who understand the new rules of power, the rules that Southeast Asia is already mastering. So the next time someone talks about superpowers, think beyond America, China, or Europe. Look closer, look quietly, look at the silent empire rising in the heart of Southeast Asia. The world's future is not written in capitals or borders. It's written in the strategic, ambitious, and unstoppable rise of this region. If you want to stay ahead of global power shifts, make sure to watch every detail, share this knowledge, and subscribe, because missing this story could mean missing the next chapter of history.